Alright, let's craft a brand new YouTube script inspired by the topic, but built from fresh angles, sharp commentary, and a unique flow. This will feel like a creator thinking out loud, not a recap, but a fresh take with strong personal insights and speculative perspective. Opening hook and vibe setup. I'm not here to give you a dry timeline. I'm here to pull apart why Ali Larter's career arc matters in the bigger picture of horror and genre storytelling. What makes this really interesting is how a single franchise start can ripple through an actor's image for decades, shaping both audience expectations and the kinds of roles they are offered. Personally, I think the most revealing part isn't just the on-screen scares, but how the franchise evolves with its cast and fan devotion over time. In my opinion, Ali Larter's transition from an early 2000s scream queen to a seasoned, multifaceted performer mirrors a broader trend in horror, where actors leverage genre fame into longevity and credibility. Contextful setup. Let's set the stage. Final Destination launched a deliberately atypical horror vibe, death as an adversary rather than a masked killer, and Ali Larter became one of the defining faces of that era. What this really suggests is how franchise worlds can cradle an actor's growth, offering both iconic moments and the space to experiment with tone and character. From my perspective, the fascination isn't just the kills, it's how the franchise uses myth, fate, and contingency to keep audiences hooked across installments and cross-media tie-ins. Main breakdown, core ideas reimagined. Idea 1, the origin story of a scream queen becoming a durable performer. Commentary, this isn't just about surviving a popcorn fright fest, it's about building a portfolio that proves versatility under pressure. What this really suggests is that horror franchises can function as deliberate grooming grounds for actors to test range, from survival grit to vulnerability. What many people don't realize is that the initial fame from a horror role can be a double-edged sword, pressuring performers to lean into a single archetype, yet Larter's career demonstrates how to bend that narrative toward longevity. If you take a step back and think about it, this pattern mirrors how genre icons morph into mainstream credibility by choosing projects that stretch emotional and thematic muscles, not just scare-pair. This connects to a bigger trend. Audiences crave authentic growth in familiar genres, and studios reward actors who can ride that curve. Analysis. The arc shows a blueprint for career longevity in crowded markets. Leverage a breakout genre role, then diversify with varied projects while keeping a recognizable voice intact. It matters because it reveals how genre fame can be a stable asset rather than a career trap. Perspective. The takeaway is that audience memory is powerful, but not immutable. Consistent, well-chosen moves can redefine a star's identity over time. Idea 2, franchise resilience through casting chemistry and tonal blend. Commentary. The piece highlights how a show about grit, trauma, and humor can coexist on screen and still feel cohesive. What makes this really interesting is how the creator balances tonal shifts, romance, drama, humor, and horror, without losing narrative coherence. From my point of view, Ali Larter's performance as Angela Norris anchors a surprisingly nuanced dynamic, proving that even social and romantic subplots can carry emotional weight in a horror-driven universe. A detail I find fascinating is how the show's writing channels trauma and resilience into character chemistry, not just plot propulsion. This raises a deeper question: can hybrid genres sustain audience trust when the tonal palette shifts so drastically across episodes? The implication is that strong acting anchors the wild architectural shifts of genre blending. Analysis. Cohesion in mixed tones requires actors who can shift registers convincingly. Larter's ability to ground Angela's warmth and intensity demonstrates how performance choices shape audience perception of a world that would otherwise feel uneven. Perspective. The broader trend is a move toward multi-genre storytelling on prestige TV, where actors who can traverse drama, humor, and horror become indispensable. Idea 3, the enduring appeal of death as antagonist, and its meta-commentary on genre evolution. Commentary. Death as a foe flips typical horror tropes and creates a narrative ecosystem where fate, planning, and chance collide. What makes this compelling is that it invites audiences to think about inevitability in real life, how people try to outsmart their own limits, and how cinema moneizes those anxieties. In my opinion, this is one of the sharpest cultural comments horror has offered in the 21st century. The fear of slipping through cracks of inevitability is universal. A detail I find fascinating is how the franchise expands its world with new rules, new victims, and renewed dread, keeping the core premise fresh without diluting its stakes. What this really suggests is, audiences love a grand puzzle with moving pieces, and horror can be a surprisingly robust playground for long-form storytelling when built with consistent internal logic. Analysis: the longevity comes from a flexible, rule-based horror world that allows new characters to carry the torch while still tying back to the original premise. This structure makes spin-offs and cross-media tie-ins feel earned rather than opportunistic. Perspective: the pattern indicates a healthy appetite for intricate, lore-rich horror that respects its core ideas while inviting fresh interpretation. Deeper insight: implications for creators and fans. Insight: franchise ecosystems thrive when there's room for growth within a familiar framework. Commentary: creators should view horror franchises not as cages, but as laboratories for evolving storytelling. What makes this really interesting is how actors like Ali Larter become ambassadors of the franchise's evolving identity, guiding audiences through change with trusted performances. From my perspective, the most important lesson for creators is to design arcs that reward long-term engagement, characters who age, learn, and challenge genre conventions alongside the audience. One thing that immediately stands out is how cross-media expansions, novels, comics, bolster a franchise's legitimacy and give fans a richer sense of world-building. If you step back, this points to a broader trend: modern franchises succeed by deepening lore and offering multiple entry points rather than chasing novelty alone. Insight: audience memory favors continuity, but openness to reinvention sustains momentum. Commentary: the way Final Destination handrails its mythology while introducing new players shows a balance between familiarity and novelty. This matters because it demonstrates how fan attachment can be reinforced without stagnation. What many people don't realize is that fan communities often fill gaps left by official storytelling, creating a living dialogue around rules and outcomes. If you think about it, the franchise's strength lies in leveraging those conversations to keep the world relevant across generations. This connects to the bigger trend of audience-led expansion in media ecosystems, where communities co-create the ongoing narrative through theories, fan works, and shared rituals. Insight: actor trajectories can become co-anchors of franchise identity. Commentary: Ali Larter's journey, from iconic early aughts horror actress to a stable, respected performer, illustrates how a franchise can meaningfully shape an actor's career path. What this really suggests is that casting choices carry long-tail effects. Viewers form a memory lattice around certain performers, which then informs future project opportunities. In my opinion, this dynamic empowers actors to pursue more ambitious or divergent work without losing their core fan base. A detail I find fascinating is how audiences sometimes realize a performer's breadth only after they've moved through the most recognizable roles. This raises a bigger question about how studios can better leverage franchise alumni to attract diverse audiences and sustain cross-genre appeal. Closing thought. So, what does Ali Larter's arc teach us about the future of horror and long-form storytelling? I'd say, stay curious about how genre-focused fame can become a launchpad for broader creative impact. If you take a step back and think about it, the smartest move for any creator is to design universes that reward both consistency and reinvention, where fans feel seen, surprised, and invited to grow with the story. What this really suggests is that the best horror franchises aren't just scare machines, they are ecosystems for character evolution, audience participation, and cultural conversation. Let me know in the comments, which franchise moment do you think did the most heavy lifting for an actor's career, and why?